Screen Fortress 12 is just released for TF2 after a pretty long dry spell of no updates. It isn't the heavy update we were looking for, but it is nice to finally see some new maps, cosmetics, and even unusual effects to be added after such a long period of time. So, how am I celebrating the spooky season? By actually playing the event? No. It's stupid. That's not scary at all. Okay, maybe it's a little bit scary. You know, it's just a little scary. But I need a bigger spook. I need a spook that not only transcends the game, but even real life. I need an iceberg. For the people who've been living under a rock for the past year, the iceberg meme shows an iceberg with the top of the iceberg containing common knowledge about the subject matter, but going deeper for below the iceberg describing deeper, more obscure knowledge until you eventually slip down the rabbit hole. Most of these icebergs contain famous urban legends like Elle is real, or the Mew under the truck, or even creepypastas like Ben drowned. I was always curious about some of these myths I heard on the playground while growing up, and wanted to see if TF2 also dipped into any of the subject matter. Lucky for me, there actually are a small handful of TF2 icebergs out there, specifically this one by Reddit user CritzD. Although some of these entries are just jokes, some are actually legit, and as a result I'll be talking about all of them. One thing to keep in mind, however, is the control points in the bottom corner of the video. If all 5 points are red, I have an extremely good grasp and understanding of the subject. If the points are gray, however, I got no idea what CritzD was talking about while making it, and no research in the world fucking helped at all. With that out of the way, let's slowly make our way to the murky depths of the bottom of this iceberg. Greyman is behind the bots. In TF2 lore, Greyman is the third brother of Redman and Blutarch Man, who employ mercenaries to fight each other. Grey's existence was actually kept secret from the two brothers before he revealed himself in 1972, killing them both and absorbing their companies into his. Afterwards, he unleashed his combined forces on Manco, causing his CEO, Saxon Hale, to hire the mercenaries to defend his facilities, the plot of MvM. This is of course common knowledge now, but before MvM was officially released back in 2012, there were actually a lot of teasers regarding both MvM and Greyman's existence since the engineer update back in 2010. I've linked a post on Reddit that goes all over the teasers and descriptions if you want to give it a more in-depth look. The sniper is from New Zealand. Another one coming from the comics. The sniper and his family claimed to be from Australia, despite other Australians shown to be burly, muscular, and boasting an immense amount of facial hair, even in the woman. Thanks to Australium, a powerful and mysterious metal which was discovered in its namesake country, Australia. Despite that, the sniper doesn't have any of these features. We eventually get an answer in the TF comic Blood in the Water that states that the sniper is actually from the sunken country of New Zealand. It's a long story, but to simplify it, Sniper gets into a rocket in New Zealand and crash lands a mile away in Australia. New Zealand is underwater. Ties into the last one I just said. New Zealand had a head scientist called Bill Bell, the sniper's biological father. He theorized that the world would be covered in magma and that they should cover the country in a glass dome and sink it to the bottom of the ocean. Bill Bell then says that the only way for New Zealand to be truly safe is for it to be in space instead. He makes a rocket to escape, but his son, the sniper, gets in it instead. Wow, hate when that happens. Kids, am I right? Don't be married, folks. Anyways, the sniper, being an idiot, breaks the glass dome over the country and completely floods it, making it go, into the sea, even more so. Australium. Mentioned this briefly, but Australium is the MacGuffin of the TF2 series, which ties to immense powers such as immortality, increased vitality, strength, and the key for advanced technology such as flying cars and invisibility. The entire comic is based around finding the last bit of Australium in the world, and I highly recommend you read it if you haven't. Golden Wrenches. Golden Wrenches are incredibly rare items, with only 101 ever existing. They got added in July 1st, 2010, to promote the upcoming engineer update. The way of acquiring the wrench was that every time a player crafted an item, there was a small chance that the result was a golden wrench. A charity event called the Golden Charity was constructed by several owners of golden wrenches to destroy said wrenches for the charity Child's Play. 14 people partook in the event and raised $31,000 altogether. As a result, only 87 legitimate golden wrenches exist to this day. Pyro is a girl. Poking a bit of fun at the anomaly of Pyro's gender. A couple of hints that show evidence of Pyro possibly being a girl, but it's all really just speculation and guesses. Nothing more, nothing less. MvM Update Secret Room. One of the teasers for MvM that can only be seen via no clipping on CP_Foundry and going behind red spawn, you'll see a room being guarded by a red soldier saying top secret. Going through the door, you'll see a red heavy and scout examining 4 photos in a red light room. The photos themselves appear to be blurry images of some MvM robots. Thunder Mountain Swimming Pool. Another map secret, although not as cool as the Foundry one. Turning around in red spawn on the second stage of this map allows you to see the mercenaries swimming around in the pool with the spy watching, maybe instructing. I don't know, but they're swimming. 2 Fort Sewer Room. I'm not sure if this one's talking about the little alcove in the sewer for both teams in 2 Fort, or specifically the do not enter sign on a doorway within that room. In the case of the door, however, no clipping through it and around doesn't show any map secrets, so kinda lame. Bit of a letdown. Stolen Nazi Medigun. Oh boy. A crazed German doctor with more care on his research and curiosity rather than his patience. I can kind of see where the speculation comes from, but there simply isn't any proof or even discussion of the Medigun being stolen from the Nazis. It's probably just here to fill the list. There is actually some slight evidence that points to Cadaverous Hale, a distant relative of Saxon Hale, being the founder of the Medigun in its science. But it's a loose tie. Certainly no Nazi technology going on over here, however. Merasmus' multi-dimensional television. An extremely complicated and convoluted achievement requiring 9 players from both teams to work together to stay in specific areas at specific classes and on a specific map in a specific game mode. I'm just going to show the steps here since there's a lot to talk about, in addition to linking a video in the description below going over the steps. Grockets. No, that isn't a typo, and no, it isn't a Crockett, so get out of the comments saying it is. I see you in the comments, stop typing! Grockets, otherwise known as Gorbot's Rockets, were crash rockets that appeared in the skybox for 2 Fort, Badwater Basin, and Barn Blitz for a handful of months in 2011. They were linked to an ARG with Weta Workshop, which eventually released the items in Dr. Gorbot's Victory Pack, Dr. Gorbot's Mooman Pack, and Dr. Gorbot's Brainiac Pack. A comic which was also released talking about these items being Gorbot's Crash and Australian Christmas was also released, respectively. Red tape recorder backwards message. I'll forgive you if you don't know this, as it shows you aren't using this terrible weapon. By playing the audio file slow down, you get some interesting dialogue.
Let's make some noise.
The TF2 Beta. Usually on an Iceberg you'll see unadded or beta features that didn't quite make the cut. I'm not going to discuss all the changes that were made in the TF2 Beta and compare it to today's build, just because there are several other videos out there that will probably do it better than I can, such as the one linked in the description below. Spy is Scout's father. I mean, yeah. Sure to be true in TF Comics number 6, The Naked and the Dead. This means stop drawing art of them together, you incest-promoting bastards. You fucking perverted minds. Get the hell out of your basements. Go see some sunlight. See some trees. Stop doing this. Pyroland is LSD induced. At first I thought this one was just another joke due to being a reference to video games or sleeper cell agents working for the CIA like Polybus. But upon doing research, this theory isn't actually coming from the creator of the Iceberg, but from another user called Space Communist. In short, the theory states that the MKUltra, a real program created by the CIA to drug citizens to mind control them, successfully created one subject, being the Pyro, who is constantly high on LSD 24/7. There isn't any evidence that supports this theory aside from TF2 being the same time frame as to when the MKUltra program was going on, however, so take it with a grain of salt. Badwater Basin Invisible Wall. I'm not sure which invisible wall the image can be referring to, but there are plenty of invisible walls that are scattered around the map, with most being around the blue spawn. Most of them are just issue of collisions and props, but there is a really strange collision in this corner of the map, right by the tunnel here. What am I standing on? What am I even looking at, Val? 2008 Scream Fortress. The first official Scream Fortress came out in 2009. despite rumors of a completed Scream Fortress update apparently being ready to be released in 2008 before being scrapped. There isn't any substantial proof, however, it's probably just another joke from the creator. Upon doing additional research, the fact that the 2008 Scream Fortress update would be called a 2008 Scream Fortress update or even Scream Fortress at all seems really unlikely. The 2009 Halloween update was simply called the Halloween Spectacular. The term Scream Fortress came a year later in 2010. Seems very unlikely that the term Scream Fortress wasn't even going to be coined until 2010, much less 2009 with the first Halloween update.
Oh no. Poopy Joe. Taken too soon.
Poopy Joe's death is staged. Poopy Joe is going to be America's first monkey nut and was going to be launched in a rocket using Australium as a fuel source. Manco sabotaged the rock and stole the fuel source, however. Something explained in-game several hidden sites on the TF homepage, in addition to slightly mentioned during the comments. So, I'm not sure why it's so far down the body of the iceberg, but here it is. Eureka Effect Dimension. The Eureka Effect is a wrench from the engineer with the unique ability to allow the engineer to teleport between spawn and his teleporter exit from nearly anywhere on the map. Teleporting shows a unique animation seen above. It will be struck by lightning and then, according to this theory, be teleported to a different dimension, sort of like Doc Brown in Back to the Future 2. Tom Jones' obituary. In TF2 lore, Tom Jones is killed by the soldier when he breaks into his house and snaps his neck. According to the creator of the Iceberg, there's a real-life obituary from a newspaper in 1972, roughly the same year TF2 takes place, that says Tom Joe was killed by a murderer who also coincidentally snapped his neck. Couldn't find said newspaper, so it's probably another joke. CP_cloak. Cloak is a control point map. I doubt you ever heard of it before, however, since it's a dev map used to test, well, something. Despite that, there's still a lot of creepy and odd things about it. To start, despite it being a control point map, there's only one point, and it takes 50 seconds to capture, the longest point in the game. There are no health or ammo packs on the map, nor resupply cabinets. And the strangest thing about this map, if you haven't noticed, is the player models just standing in the skybox, watching you, menacingly. TF2 Chinese Edition. A reference to the TF2 bootleg Final Combat. I'm not going to personally delve into this, but I will link a video in the description that does. It's bad. Real bad. Amelia Earhart didn't die. In a cold day in hell, the scout, soldier, and pirate will stumble across a crashed plane while looking for the heavy. The contents of the plane were several boxes of honey, a couple hot dog t-shirts, and a hot dog costume with Amelia Earhart's bones in it. Gonna say she died in the crash. Gordon Freeman photo. TF2 has a bunch of source files for Half-Life 2 in it, like every other source game, so Half-Life 2 files are of course in TF2, including a photo of Gordon Freeman. The invasion update never happened. I'm assuming this corresponds to the drama that was ongoing with the creators of the update and Valve, which caused the update to be delayed. To my knowledge, this drama was actually Valve just wanting to finish up some code causing a delay on the release. But what if it's still being delayed to this very day, and we just got a cover-up invasion update, and we're waiting on the real invasion update. The Saxon Apparition. A joke relating to the Wario apparition found in Mario 64 creepypastas. Or is it? TF2 PS4 port. Self-explanatory. There is no PS4 port, nor plans to make one. The closest thing to a PS4 port, however, will be the game Loadout, which has somewhat similar gameplay, but really it's just not TF2 on the PS4. Earth covered in magma. Mentioned this prior when discussing New Zealand the Sniper, and how Bell predicted the Earth would be covered in magma. I guess it's saying that this theory is actually true. It's not. Double Cross Sewer Ghost. No idea what the details are regarding this entry. Only piece of evidence I can find is a TV Tropes article discussing some horror elements regarding the game. It mentions a sewer ghost on a custom achievement map called the Dystopian. However, there isn't any mention of Double Cross in it. Junction Morse Code. This is another one made up by the creator of the Iceberg. He explains that at certain points in the map, you can hear Morse code being transmitted. This code, when translated, somehow reads to an unknown ancient language that nobody can translate. Bot Killer Rescue Ranger.
There isn't a Bot Killer Rescue Ranger. We're just gonna skip to the next one, because there isn't a lot to say.
Soldier is a war criminal. I'm not sure why this one's so far down the list, but I digress. Soldier, despite looking like an American soldier, wasn't actually part of any American military branch, but bought a ticket to Europe so he could fight Nazis on his own accord. As a result, the soldier isn't a lawful combatant of war, being a civilian, and thus an unlawful combatant of war is, by all technicality, a war criminal. Do not interact. On the red side of Turbine, there's a small closed-off room that contains several tapes on a rack. Sometimes a record labeled "Do Not Interact" will appear. It can be picked up by the player if they were to no-clip through the door. This record has caused countless amounts of people to find a record player within TF2 capable of playing the record. Can't find any info for this one aside from the person who made the Iceberg, so it's probably another fake one. Kinda sucks however, because I kinda like the idea of a scavenger hunt in TF2. Adult Swim canceled TV show. Valve News Network made a fairly short video regarding this topic, which I've linked in the description. My personal take on it is that Valve dropped the ball super hard on this, and we should have gotten this. Like, really, it was completed, and then Valve just kept making changes to the script and writing and kept delaying and delaying and delaying. Fucking hell. It would have been amazing. TF2 takes place in Purgatory. I'm going to say it doesn't, simply because there's both a TF2 Heaven and Hell respectively. We've seen what Heaven looks like in the comics when Scout dies in The Naked and the Dead, and we've also seen what Hell looks like when the medic dies in the same comic, although this is probably just the Devil's Office. However, we do get a better look at Hell in the Scream Fortress map Hell Tower. It's pretty stereotypical, I would say. Magma, fire, brimstone everywhere, souls of the damned, you know, the works. Banana Bay is a coke smuggling plant. Banana Bay actually does have several secrets within it, none of them related to the smuggling of booger sugar, however. Disappointed, Iceberg, disappointed. Mojave Desert Australium Cache. There is no mention of an Australian cache in the Mojave Desert directly. That being said, the United States did have a cache which was used in the launching of Poopy Joe. If you recall back up 20 minutes ago or so, Mankel stole the Australium and hid it in a vault underneath its main building, only for it to be then stolen by the administrator. Suppose this point is saying that the US government hid their Australian in the Mojave? Or that there's still a cache hidden away in the Mojave Desert that's going to be found. 2 Fort Cows. You may notice while walking around some maps, cardboard cutouts of cows. What exactly are they doing there though? The ones in 2 Fort are there to hide the fact that the mill, which are the buildings you fight in on 2 Fort, isn't actually in working condition due to the presence of the red and blue team. But what about other maps? We know that the administrator spies on the mercenaries and hides camera everywhere. Could the cows be another way of hiding these cameras? What about the secret cow weapon? What about Mad Milk? Does Mad Milk come from these cows? Are the cows somehow related to the aliens in the TF2 universe? Or the supernatural? Are the cows secretly the 10th class that we've all been waiting for? Maybe cows are just spies disguised as cows for some reason. I don't know. But they're up to something. Something big. Something scary. I don't trust them. Gabe Newell's secret weapon. There's either a reference to Valve quality weapons or the joke weapon, the Banhammer. Zephaniah Man's 4th son. Zephaniah already has one secret son, being Gray Man. It makes no sense to have a second secret son that doesn't have any presence within the game or comic. So it was probably made up by CritzD, just to fill up the iceberg again. Payload Snowy Coast Skybox Anomaly. When Blue pushes the cart into the last point, a large oval-shaped and purple object spitting green and blue flames can briefly be seen flying around the skybox before diving to the pit created by the bomb. This object doesn't show up in the game files nor in any recordings, and it's probably fake. And by probably I mean definitely is fake. Pyro's suit is his skin. First off, his. Second off, the Pyro suit is called a suit numerous times by Valve and hasn't been teased at, unlike the true identity and gender of Pyro. It's very clearly said it's lined with Abistos on the wiki. Red tape recorder alternative message. If you recall way back when we were in Shallow Waters, I mentioned that if you slow down the red tape recorder's sound effect while being sapped, you get this.
Let's make a noise.
However, there's apparently a super rare alternative message which is supposedly a CIA interrogation during the Gulf War. It is true that the CIA did indeed play a part during the Gulf War. However, the sound files for the red tape recorder don't sound anything like an interrogation, sped up, reverse, backwards, etc. I did find a creepypasta regarding the red tape recorder back when it was first released, however. It has more to do with the person who gave the individual the item rather than the item itself. Aside from that, I can find no information regarding a second alternative message for the red tape recorder. Manco Russian Scandal. Manco is a real company which was founded in the 90s. It was located in Siberia and was an illegal weapon producer and distributor. Valve got in trouble with this because they shared their fictional weapons dealer with a supposed real one. They of course denied any collaboration. Despite that, the Iceberg claims that Valve was receiving mysterious packages in the mail in 1999 up to 2004, even though TF2 and Manco was created back in 2007. It's a tad bit of a time gap in this theory. Mercenary Park Alive Yeti. Jungle Inferno quickly showed a Yeti, the last Yeti on the planet. Sucked Hell didn't beat the fuck out of it. Like, he literally exploded with super person. Not even only killed, he fucking decimated. Like, it's dead as hell. I have zero fucking idea it could survive there. If there even is more out there. Hope there is. I want to see that fucking shit again. He flipped that bitch. He fucked it up, man. You see that punch? One punch. Falcon punch. My god, he killed it. Actually fucking eviscerated. Just destroyed. There's no coming back from that. It's dead. It's dead as hell. I don't care what this says. Iceberg's wrong. Fucking Yeti, dead as hell. Dead as hell. Deadest thing I've ever seen. Deader than my grandma. 6 feet under. This Yeti, 8 feet under. That's how dead it is. No fucking way. No fucking way is it alive. It is so dead. The medic is Lucifer. Here is photographic evidence of the medic standing right beside the devil. Easy to disprove. Moving on to the next one. Lost TF Comics number 7. Apparently, the 7th long-awaited comic to the TF2 series was released but quickly deleted before anyone could read it. The people who uploaded it to the internet were arrested and said that they hid it in a deep wood where no one could ever find it again. You know, kinda wish this one was real, because it's been 3 fucking years now, Valve. Where's the final comic? We've all been waiting. Where's the heavy update? We've all been waiting. You're slacking, Valve. First the Adult Swim TV show, now this. You're pissing me off. These 2 maps. I can't find anything regarding a direct relation to TF2 aside from it being on this Iceberg. Neither of these maps are on the workshop and nobody's talking about them on discussion posts. Ave Satani is actually a song coming from the 1976 horror film The Omen. Its name translated from Latin says Hail Satan. It's got lyrics that say similar things. Have a quick listen to it. Dies Ires is a bit more unknown. There is another orchestral song with a very similar name, being Dies Ires, which translates to the Day of Wrath from Latin. It's essentially a poem regarding Judgment Day. You probably have actually already heard this song before. Have another quick listen. Stare into the abyss for too long, and the abyss will stare back. I'll be honest, these last few entries are not for the faint of heart. Everything up to this point has been mere child's play. The eldritch knowledge kept within the last few minutes in this video will change your life. Not for the better, I fear, for the worse. Turn back while you still can before you become cursed with the knowledge that I bear every day. being unable to sleep or enjoy life just because you know the truth. If you haven't turned back yet, I must congratulate you for your bravery, but mock you for your foolishness. I shan't delay anymore. This is the Abyss. The 2004 March 17th build. TF2 was originally going to be a futuristic sci-fi game of teams of aliens and humans fighting each other. The game was going to be drastically different from the TF2 we know as well. It's still a class-based FPS, but it has slight RTS elements incorporated in it, such as resources, buildings, research tiers, and vehicles. Aside from the normal 9 classes that function relatively the same as they do today, there's a 10th class called the Support, which focuses on long-range artillery strikes to help its team and damage players. The game was obviously scrapped for what we have today, but there's still some trace files from this time. Perhaps even a final build is hidden away somewhere. The Heavy Update ARG. TF2 is known for its ARGs, or alternate reality games, to push updates, with the Pyromania update and the MvM update being 2 famous examples of this. Could there be a secret Heavy Update ARG that no one has yet to solve? According to the maker of the Iceberg, one man was capable of breaking past the first step but gave up on the second for being too challenging. The snowplow incident. This one's kind of boring and has actually allowed me to get a few minutes of sleep before they wake me up again. You know, them. Not them, anything but them. Anyways, this Iceberg claims that Snowplow was originally meant to come out with End of the Line, but was deemed to be too confusing for new players since it functioned differently from other Control Points maps. It was eventually added in the Gunmetal update, so what was changed? Did Valve just make it easier for new players? Or was there something horrifying in the original version that Valve needed to cover up and hide? Even though the map was made by community members and not Valve officially. Foundry recordings. While dev testing the map Foundry, several playtesters reported hearing a horrific scream while capping the last point on blue. This scream is so loud and horrifying that some of the playtesters were omitted to mental wards. The scream is apparently a recording of a steel worker falling into a vat of molten steel in 1968. Ignoring the fact that steel melts at 1,307 degrees Celsius, which would be hot enough to cause nerve endings on your body to instantly scorch away, causing no pain, and that some developer have had to add it in and probably be fired for being such a dick, there's no evidence or proof of this one at all, unlike the other ones that have so far appeared in this abyssal zone. The Sawmill Cryptid. Players playing on Sawmill alone report seeing a green quadruped hanging out and vibing by the waterfall on the red side of the map. No files or video evidence of this guy exists though, which is for the best. I mean, he just wants to chill, lounge around. Guy doesn't need anyone bugging him, just leave him be if you see him really. The 10th class. Lots of jokes and speculation regarding the true 10th class in TF2, but who or what is the 10th class really? The easy answer is the Civilian, which still has traces still in the game code, but was scrapped before release. The Commander, a scrap class from TF2 was still known as Brotherhood of Arms. How about that dog with cybernetics, but no fucking hats? Probably not that one. Non-hat wearing moron. Could it be the cows, like I mentioned earlier? Or could it be the true 10th class? The question mark. With that, we surface. I hope you all enjoyed sitting through this. I tried my best to research everything, however CritzD, the creator of the Iceberg, clearly made some stuff up just to fill it up. So there's a probable chance that I missed something, especially when some of these could be on forums from nearly a decade ago, so feel free to comment anything I missed. I also hope that you guys learned something regarding TF2. Even if there isn't any substance to some of these speculations and theories, it's always nice to go out and create something for the community. I mentioned at the start I always centered around these urban myths and creepypastas in game, and I really hope more of them pop up for TF2. I've fallen in love with the game, especially with Scream Fortress, coming out this year, and really, it'd just be really nice to see more and more stupid urban myths like that to help boost the game in popularity, and of course to celebrate the spooky season coming up. So with that out of the way, happy Halloween.
And don't forget to sleep with the lights on.